Hi, my name is Ravi, and I'll be talking about our work, multi-agent strategy explanations for human-robot collaboration. So first, let's talk about why misaligned strategies can be detrimental for human and a robot team. Let's say these two agents have different strategies in their head. When they go to roll out this task, they might collide with each other or generally fail at the task. But in our work, we treat explanations as a way to proactively align the strategies of two agents. So if a robot gives an explanation to the human, this might align their strategies in the future. And then when they go to roll out this task, they'll successfully complete it efficiently. The problem is that existing explainable AI and explainable RL techniques generally think about a human as an observer to a single agent robot. Machine teaching and policy summarization approaches have generally thought about an isolated robot explaining their strategy to a human, but we're interested in exploring how explanations can help human robot collaboration in the future. So our approach starts by doing something offline where we solve the task, generate a data set, and then generate an explanation. And then online, a human gets an explanation from the robot and then executes this task in a loop. And we focus on these two tasks. First on the left is this collaborative maze task where the two agents are trying to get these jewels and bring them to the goals. The problem is that they're blocked by doors, so one agent has to step on a button to unlock the door while the other agent grabs the jewel. And the social navigation task, the three agents are trying to grab their own jewels without colliding with each other. And you can see an autonomous rollout of three agents successfully coordinating and completing this task without colliding. So before jumping into our approach, we have to talk about policy landmarks. So let's say we have this data set of all of these trajectories from the start to the goal. The set of policy landmark states will be all the states that pass through every single trajectory. So that's these orange states on the bottom. And we extend this idea by introducing strategy condition landmark states, which specifically look at all of these states that are in just the trajectories under a particular strategy's ZI. So in our social navigation example, here's all the trajectories from the start state to the goal state for one of the agents, and we can partition this into three different data sets and find the strategy condition landmark states for each of these data sets. The trouble is that this might be not separable in XY space, so instead we think about doing this clustering in a latent strategy space, and you can see that if we do uncover some latent strategies, then this space might be very easily separable into these three big clusters like it is in this task, where each strategy corresponds to which agent goes first in picking their goal. And in our maze example, we can use imitation learning to uncover some latent strategy space that's learned through an encoder-decoder structure where we can directly cluster this latent strategy space and find that each strategy corresponds to a different ordering of which agent goes to which goal first. So here's one example strategy that's generated from our task, from our explanation generation pipeline for this maze. And then the robot gets the jewel, then the robot goes to the bottom button, and the human gets the jewel before leaving the game. And these text on the bottom is actually generated by a large language model. So in our social navigation task, here's one example strategy for this task where the red agent goes to their goal, then the blue agent goes to their goal, and finally the green agent goes to their goal. So we ran a user study and we had a bunch of different research questions. First, we were curious how explanations improve coordination between the human and the robot. So we have different types of explanations that we're testing. Landmark and video landmark are our strategy condition landmark explanation generation methods. And then video just shows the trajectory that corresponds to the strategy cluster for the strategy cluster center for each strategy. And no explanation just means that the person gets the rules of the game, but does not get a particular explanation of a strategy. So for our second research question, we were wondering whether people adhere to different explanations over time. So we show the person explanations and then play different games for the number of different strategies there are in each task. And finally, people are shown no explanation and then play a game with an agent that picks a random strategy to test whether this explanation does help with future partners. And we run a user study with 49 participants that's between subjects. So each person only sees one kind of explanation throughout all of their games. And this is repeated for both types of games. So as an example, on the left, you'll see what happens when one user is not given any explanation, and they're actually very indecisive on figuring out what they want to do before finally picking this jewel on the top right, versus if they're given an explanation of this strategy using our method, they're actually very decisive in picking this jewel, and it lets them complete this task much faster. So in the Social navigation example, the human is in the top left. They're this blue triangle, and you can see that when given no explanation, they're sort of hesitant and they don't understand what to do before they figure out that they should just wait and then cross at the end and get to their goal. Versus when they're given an explanation from our method, they understand that actually there was a chance for them to cut in front of this green agent and then go to their goal much more efficiently, which ultimately improves their efficiency on the task. And we actually see quantitatively in our results that this bears out. So in both the maze task and the social navigation task, our video landmark and landmark examples were much more efficient at completing the task than given no explanation. And these 2 stars denote statistical significance between the two things. And we also asked people a bunch of subjective questions about how well they thought the team was doing. And in the social navigation task, people actually, given any explanation, find that they're much more fluent at understanding what the team wants to do than given no explanation. And for our second research question, we find that users typically adhere to any explanation type, just because it seems like they get a better understanding of the task. But we do see some small evidence in the maze example that landmarks can be helpful over video explanations. And finally, for our third research question, we don't find that explanations help in this last game where the partner chooses a random strategy. This is primarily because by this point, people have basically played the game 3 or 4 times, so they're pretty familiar with this relatively simple game, despite whatever explanation they're given. But one promising result is that we find people actually explore the space of strategies more when they're given explanations by a robot, particularly from landmark and video landmark explanations. And so in more complex scenarios, this might help if the person doesn't understand the full space of strategies and the robot helps them understand a more efficient strategy to take. So in summary, explanations are pretty helpful for strategy alignment. Landmark explanations have shown to be useful in improving efficiency and help users explore the full space of strategies, which again might be very useful in more real-world complicated tasks. Thank you.